like to call this October 26, 2023 Board of Education regular meeting to order. George, can you take the roll?
Mrs. Bissell?
Here.
Mrs. Cobain?
Here.
Mr. Miko?
Here.
Ms. Stochek?
Here.
Mrs. Hausel?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. We could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda are district goals. Our district's 3-year strategic plan is made up of 4 strategic priorities. Tonight's meeting includes additional discussion about a potential bond issue to fund construction of new elementary buildings in our district. This is an example of one of our strategic priorities, leveraging funding and facilities. The intent of this strategic priority is to provide safe, modern, and high-quality learning environments that afford premier educational experiences. Next, we will go to the OSBA student achievements.
We have a couple this week because we missed last month. So first, we want to start with Sarar, and Dr. Razzo, you can come up, and she nominated these people and we gave them an award.
So in September, Sarar was asked to pick some folks for the Extra Mile Award. And when I think of going the extra mile, I think of people who go above and beyond, not because they're asked to go above and beyond, but because they just want to go above and beyond to make the place, to make our school, as well as our community, a better place to be, to learn, and to work. So when I think of that, I think of Stella Reed, who is right here. When she walks into the building every morning, she is sure to greet everybody with a smile. She does so without being asked. She makes sure everybody is feeling great about themselves. She goes out of her way to be a kind human being, and she is very humble about everything she does. She never brags, and she never tells anybody just how talented she is. She doesn't even act like this at school. So I learned from her mother that this summer she joined a rock band, and nobody in our school knew that she joined this rock band. And after school started, she even performed at a local Lakewood bar. Nobody knew that she performed at this Lakewood bar. Yeah. Even her teacher or classmates didn't know. So when I walked in to ask her all about it, she didn't even tell anybody. I would have been telling everybody that I was playing the guitar in a band, not Stella. She's just so humble and kind to everybody, and she always is looking for improvement. She couldn't even wait to tell her mom about this award. I think you told her, sit down because your head's going to fall off.
We said she might need a helmet. Just a warning.
Yeah, just a warning. But she always goes above and beyond to make our school a better place and to make everybody feel welcome there. So I picked her for that award.
I just want to say thank you to my principal, Dr. Asso.
And when we awarded it to Stella, she was so surprised and so shocked and so beside herself when we came in and said we were giving an award to somebody. And when we said her name, she thought it was going to be everyone else but herself. So she definitely is very humble about how kind she is. But all of her classmates were equally as excited as she was for her, clapping for her.
She's always there to celebrate other people. So.
You want to get a picture? Your mom and dad want to get a picture with Dr. Razzo?
And the next award, I couldn't think of just one person to give it to. I had to give it to a group and a team. And it was the second grade team at Sarar that consists of Danielle Yeoman, Brooke Whitney, and Megan Wilson. They are a second grade team. They always go above and beyond. You don't have to ask them to do the work. They're just always there doing it. They're there to support their colleagues. They're there to support students. They invite teachers into their classroom to see best practices. They're there to offer ideas, and they're just always there to do what is best instruction, best practices. They're just always going above and beyond in making sure our students are getting exactly what they need. They'll step in at the district level to help support district initiatives. Every single day during planning time, they're meeting with each other to plan for instruction, to look at data, to see what kind of interventions or enrichment students need. Not once do I ever hear them complain. They're always just looking to problem solve. So when you think of people who go above and beyond that extra mile, it's these three ladies right here. And I had to keep this a secret since September. It was really hard. And so they came the day after conferences. I didn't tell them. And Mrs. Whitney was very upset with me because she wore a ponytail that day and was not ready for her picture to be taken. So next time, they need tonight. Yeah, this will be her. We'll replace it with this. So they made sure their hair was ready and everything else, so that their picture, would be okay. They never ask for any appreciation or anything extra, and I think you ladies saw that when you came in. They were completely shocked. They just do things because that's the right thing to do, and they want to make our district a better place to be. So, ladies.
If you guys want to come up here and maybe say one thing that why you think Strongsville stands apart from other districts, or what makes you love your job, or what makes you love your building.
Well, I wasn't necessarily prepared for that, but ultimately the kids. The kids are what make my job worthwhile. So, thank you.
I would agree. Obviously, we're here for the kids, but I think what keeps me coming every single day are these ladies, and being able to work together with each other and collaborate day in and day out makes the job easy.
And I will go upon that as well. This is just my second year at Sarar, and these ladies have been an amazing team to work with, a great team to walk into, great support, so, and the students as well. And Sally, it's been great. So, thank you.
And I think you can tell an atmosphere when you walk into a classroom, and when we walked into their classroom, each one was fun, uplifting. The kids were smiling. The kids were, usually we're going to give your teacher an award. Sometimes kids are going to be the most honest people out there, right? They could walk in and be like, why? Why are you doing this, right? Everyone raised their hand, millions of answers of why these teachers should have gotten the award that they did. And we've seen that across the board with all of the teachers and all of the students that we've awarded things to, that everyone agrees with it and sees that and promotes it. And it's a really great thing to see, especially within one grade level at one school too, that they work so collaboratively together and so well. So thank you guys. Make sure your hair's almost done. You guys go. You guys go. Sorry. You're good. Yeah, there's a lot of
Congratulations. Thank you. Good one. Congratulations.
Our next building is Whitney, and Katie is here to give out those.
Sally, I'm not afraid of this. Can't do that. No, that's fun. All right. So I will start with Miss Grace
Gracie Morgan. Gracie, come on up. So first of all, before I start, I have to share that you and Stella could become BFFs because she is also in a rock band. Yeah, so you guys can rock it out together sometime.
Get their autographs now, because this might be the new duo. Right? In like 10 years?
Yes, you never know.
You saw it here first. Remember us.
All right. So it is with great pride and excitement that I have the privilege of recognizing Miss Gracie Morgan for the Extra Mile Award. Gracie goes above and beyond in the commitment of excellence each and every day. Gracie shows a level of determination that is truly inspiring. She challenges herself in the classroom to learn something new each day. She shows motivation and resilience through her work ethic. Gracie has a heart of gold. If you don't know her, she is just the most wonderful human being you will ever meet. She's always ready to lend a helping hand, uplift her peers, and contribute to our school's positive learning community. She's a role model for leadership, and she actively participates in extracurricular activities. She's a member of the band, choir, and she's also one of our morning announcement crew members. Whether Gracie will be one day on screen as an actress or as a weather person, she has a very bright future ahead of her. If you have not heard her sing before, her voice will put you to tears. We have the privilege of listening to her sing at our music concerts. And the winter concert or it wasn't the winter concert, it was the spring concert, the choir concert. She was just unbelievable. She has a very powerful voice, so keep singing, Gracie. You've got a beautiful voice. Gracie has an ability to motivate and empower others. She has shown that leadership is not just about leading from the front, but also supporting and lifting others up. I'm honored to celebrate Gracie's accomplishments, her work ethic, her compassionate heart, and her unwavering commitment to going the extra mile. It's students like Gracie who remind us of the potential we all have to make a difference in the world, starting right here at Whitney Elementary. So congratulations to you, Gracie, and keep shining bright and being a great example for us all.
I want to thank Mrs. Hawk for choosing me for this award. I love her so much. I love all my fellow students and all my fellow teachers. This is probably one of the best schools that I've ever been to, and I love you guys so much.
I'm not going to put Mrs. Bongers on the spot here, but I will say that when we got together as a team to decide who we want to give this award to, I already had someone in mind, obviously, but I said to the 5th grade team, I said, you guys tell me who you're thinking before I tell you who I'm thinking. Unanimously, they all said Gracie Morgan. And so we just all think so highly of you, and we're all so proud of you. Okay.
It's so cute to watch their faces of hearing themselves being described in such a way that they don't think of themselves. You know, they don't go home and think like, this is what I do, this is how I am. That's just how they are. That's their natural personality. So moms and dads, great job with wonderful, kind, genuine young girls that you have here.
All right. I promise I won't cry this time, Mr. Shively.
I don't know why I cry all the time. I try not to do that. So I'm gonna work hard here. So Mr. Shively, come on over here. Mr. Shively. All right. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. So I am honored to have the privilege of recognizing Eric Shively with the Extra Mile Award. I could not think of a more deserving person to give this award to today. Being a guidance counselor is not an easy task or job to do. It's a role that requires not only empathy and understanding, but also the ability to guide and inspire. Eric embodies these qualities, and he's consistently demonstrating this by the passion that he has when he helps his students each and every day. Eric truly goes the extra mile in his commitment to the well-being and success of the students. When it comes to the role of a guidance counselor, it's not just about providing advice, but it's about being a mentor, a confidant, and a source of inspiration. Eric has excelled in all of these areas. He truly listens to students' concerns, fears, and hopes, and guides them with a warm heart. We recognize that success of our students is not something that's achieved in isolation, but this is something that's a collaborative effort between students, parents, staff, and the one and only Mr. Shively. Mr. Shively has a collaborative approach. He always actively supports our teachers, providing them with guidance, resources, and strategies, things that they can do in the classroom to support the unique needs of their individual students. I am truly blessed to work with such a humble, kind, compassionate, and generous person. Mr. Shively has been my rock throughout my time as a principal at Whitney Elementary. Some days, like today, I feel like I'm in Mr. Shively's office all day. And every time that happens, he continues to have a smile on his face, an open listening ear, and always words of wisdom. Yeah, I do have my own designated seat in his office. So thank you, Mr. Shively, for always going the extra mile, for your tireless effort, and for your profound commitment to the students of Whitney Elementary.
And Mrs. Hawk, how often did you say Mr. Shively goes into every classroom? I think you said there's a certain minimum of what they have to do and what he actually does.
That's a great question. So Mr. Shively goes into every single classroom right now about for one lesson per week. So he's going in, and correct me if I'm wrong there, you're going into classrooms on a weekly basis. Just about. That's not the expectation. He does that because he knows that it's the right thing to do, and it's what our kids need, and he will rearrange his schedule to make sure that he provides any support that the students possibly need. So on top of going into classrooms on a weekly basis, he's also using his lunch and recess time to support student groups, friendship groups, new students, support groups, and also Mrs. Hawk's counseling time. So he's very busy throughout his school day. Yes, yes. He occupies every moment.
You know, when I got the award, you know, it's great to be acknowledged for, you know, individual contributions. It's humbling, but like I look around me at all these great people here and back here. It's a system, you know. I'm the product of a really good system. I appreciate that.
Let's get a picture, Mr. Shively. Come on over.
Can we use some of the girls to the picture too?
Yeah, sure. Oh, absolutely. Come on in, family. Yeah. Okay. You're not the photographer, you're in this picture. Okay. But I am.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks for appreciate you. Thanks for.
Congratulations.
All right, and Mr. Shively, something you said really resonates with me, that you're a product of the system, and I feel the same way. I'm sure, we probably all have the same feelings, but I feel like we have a great district here, and we do appreciate everything that everybody does here, so thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda is public comment. We do have one slip for public comment. And this is a great time if anyone has homework to do, lesson plans to prepare. It's a great time to mosey on out.
Run.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
As they're leaving, Mr. Clark, you know the drill. Name and address, please, and you have approximately 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for clearing the room before I spoke. She knows I'm long-winded. My name is Tom Clark. I live at 12652 South Churchill Way. My wife, Kelly, and I have lived in Strongsville for the past 12 years. We have 2 children at Strongsville High School, both of which have spent their entire academic life in Strongsville City Schools, from Sarrar Elementary to Strongsville Middle School, and now Strongsville High School, a senior and a freshman. We've both been involved in our schools, volunteering in a variety of ways the past 12 years. Our schools are not perfect, but they are very good, and they are our schools, the schools of our kids, the schools of our community. As a parent, as a resident, and as a taxpayer, we will continue to invest in our schools. I have 3 points I want to make tonight. First, the past 2 years I have served as Strongsville Ward 3 councilman, and one of my additional duties has been council's liaison to the Strongsville City School Board. That means I have attended, mostly in person, nearly every single school board meeting the past 2 years. For any meetings that I could not attend in person, I either watched live online or shortly thereafter that evening. This brings me to point number 1. Thank you to this team. I've already heard tonight about teamwork. If you want to go far, you go as a team. If you want to go fast, you go as alone until you fail. So thank you to this team. Thank you, Laura Hausum. Thank you, Michelle Bissell. Thank you, Rich Micko, Sharon Kilbane, and Haley Stovcik. I've had a front row seat to the work you do on behalf of our students, our district, and our community. I know all too well that what we see is a mere fraction of the effort you put in. Thank you. I had another segment we're going to have to skip because I'm long-winded.
I'll cede my time to you, Tom.
He must know that he must have a hunch where I'm going with it. All right, I'm going to do it then. Rich is our most tenured board member. Your decade plus of service has provided this board with history to understand where we have come from, and that helps us make informed decisions to where we are going. It is much easier to navigate the road ahead when you understand the road behind you. Thank you, Rich. Laura Hausum, as our current board president, you've clearly earned the trust of your peers and our community, and me personally. Collectively, you've navigated challenging times. We appreciate your resilience and look forward to the continuity that you hopefully will bring to the district for years to come. I think 14 is the thing we're shooting for, but years to come, I appreciate the value that you bring to this board. Thank you. Michelle, many times I've sat in this room and I've jotted down a question that I wanted to ask. Seconds or minutes later, only to have you ask an almost identical question. I'm very confident that Rich's youngest will graduate with honors this year, leaving you to be the only school board member with children actively in the district, your own children. I expect you to be the mama bear for all of our children in this community, and I know you will. Thank you. Sharon, you are intimately connected to this district with children and grandchildren And you always ask the questions that everyone is wondering and talking about and asking at home at the dinner table. And it brings a personal connection to the conversation, and that's great for our schools. Thank you. Haley, you bring a different perspective, always asking questions, giving the board a new lens, a different perspective. Thank you. I know it's teamwork. Thank you all, board members. Cameron, George, and Jenny, thank you. Your entire professional career has prepared you for the role that you sit in today. Each of you individually are among the best in the state and the best in your role. Collectively, you're a superb powerhouse for our district and our community. So again, collectively, to this board and this administration leadership team, thank you. You're good for Strongsville, you're good for our students, you're good for our parents, our taxpayers, and our community as a whole. To recap point one, thank you. You've done a lot for our district as a team. Point two, on Monday, September 18th, our Strongsville City Council unanimously adopted Resolution 2023-136. I'm going to read it. By Mayor Persiak and all members of council. A resolution in support of the passage of Strongsville City School District Renewal, Issue 14, on the November 2023 ballot. Your city administration and council believe that strong cities have strong schools. We all appreciate our partnership and know it is one of the keys to making our community a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Point three, we all know excellence is a journey and not a destination. Strongsville City Schools recently received a 5-star rating from the state. But again, we're not perfect. We are very good. It's a journey, and it must continue. In April of 2022, Moody's upgraded Strongsville City Schools investor rating from AA2 to AA1, which is the second highest rating on the scale. Strong operating reserves were part of that. The liquidity was listed as a credit strength. Our treasurer will tell you it is a team effort, and he is right, and our community is a part of that team, and we must not abandon our schools at this time. I could rattle off a ton of accomplishments, from our students to our staff, some of which were recognized tonight, our administration, our board, and our community as a whole. I mentioned it a few times. We all know excellence is a journey, not a destination. Despite the cost pressures of the recent few years, this board, this team have continued to put our school in a strong financial position, and we as a community must continue to do that. Katie Hawk just said something a minute ago. It's the right thing to do, and it's what's best for our children. Let's renew this levy. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We appreciate your support and the support of the mayor and the rest of council. If you could convey that message, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our approval of minutes. Motion to approve the minutes from September 25th, 2023 and October 12th, 2023. All district video and audio recordings will be a permanent part of the minutes. Next up, I will turn it over to George for treasurer's report.
Sorry, I don't know if I missed it. Did you get the October 12th minutes as well?
Yes, I said that.
Thank you, Mrs. Hausen. I do have a few items for your consideration tonight. The first being the financial report for the month ended September 30th, 2023, and I do want to give my supplemental report that I usually do with month end. So if you recall, in September, I presented the annual budget for the school district for the fiscal year 2024, and with the annual budget, there was a budget forecast using the annual budget figures to incorporate into the forecast on how the budget will impact the district for the next 5 years. With ODE, we're required to submit a 5-year forecast in November, so we'll be updating the 5-year forecast again in November, having the board approve it in November, submit to ODE, and that'll be more based on trends compared to the annual budget. But as we do the monthly financial reports of the supplement, it takes the trends on how we're doing each month and compares it to the forecast and looks at year-to-date information and comparing previous years as well to the current year for the time of year and the month. So for fiscal year 2024, so how we're doing so far against the annual budget. So far, revenues, still early to indicate as taxes are our largest revenue source, and we've already received the first half. The second half will receive January through March. And then the state foundation was pretty much set at the beginning of the year. So revenues are trending about $5,839 over the forecast. Expenditures with open positions, savings and salaries and benefits, the expenditures are trending $708,000 compared to the forecast favorably. And just to put that in perspective, on a $87 million budget, that's 0.81%. So it's less than 1%. And putting it in even further perspective, just to scale it back a little bit, if you're looking at a $100 budget, if you had $100 to spend, it's equivalent to spending $99.19 and having 81 cents left over. So although it may look big on paper, but in perspective to our annual budget, it's less than 1%, which scaling it back, I won't say it's immaterial, but it's on a larger scale, it's less than 1%. So how that compares to the surplus at the end of the year, we'll have an operating surplus. If this holds true, it's still early on in the fiscal year. We're 3 months in, so a lot of things could happen. Utilities are projected to increase. We did put a increase factor in there of 4%. So far, they're trending a little bit higher. So we'll have to see how the remaining years go, especially into the winter months. But right now, it's $2.2 million. And then also, just to kind of further put in perspective, next year's expenses are projected to increase by 4.67%. Last year, as you'll see in the next slide, comparing fiscal year to date this September to last September, our expenses have increased by 6.4% through fiscal year, and then even taking a step further, looking at the previous fiscal year before that, fiscal year 22 to this fiscal year, through September, expenses have increased by 16.22%. So with inflation, our expenditures are always gonna trend on an upward pattern. Revenue collections for just the month of September compared to last September, revenue collections were about $2.7 million less. That was primarily more due to a timing. We still haven't, we received in October the homestead and rollback reimbursement from the state. Last year we got that in September. This year we received it in October. So that represents about $3.1 million. And then also, as you'll see in other revenues, is $451,000 higher compared to last September. This includes $174,000 of Medicaid reimbursements that we usually receive in June. This past June, we didn't receive it until the month of September, and then interest was $100,000 higher. And then we also receive district-placed students' tuition from their districts from the state. We usually receive it in October. This year, we received it in September. So that's why those show slightly higher. And then year-to-date revenues on the bottom of the page, they're about $2.3 million less fiscal year-to-date compared to last fiscal year. But again, that has to do with the homestead and rollback. And how we're comparing to the forecast, about $5,839 more. Moving on to expenditures. Expenditures for the month of September compared to last September are $441,000 higher, which is about 7%. And as you'll see, the increases are in salaries and benefits and purchase services. And then looking at fiscal year-to-date expenditures were about $1.3 million higher compared to last fiscal year-to-date through September, which equates to 6.4% higher than the previous year. And then, as I talked about earlier, comparing to the forecast, the largest areas are salaries and benefits, where at the beginning of the year we're seeing some turnover in positions, open positions that we're still hiring for. So as those positions stay open, there's savings in both salaries and benefits for each pay period that passes that those positions are over. And then we also had some turnover in other staff going out on FMLA and sub at a cheaper rate, filling those in. With 25% of the fiscal year complete, we'll be monitoring through the rest of the fiscal year. Any questions regarding the monthly report? Thank you. Moving on to the next item, new funds for fiscal year '24. We have two, and these are both for middle school clubs with the addition of the 4 new supplementals that were issued at the middle school for clubs. 2 of those clubs are looking to do some fundraising and receiving donations to support their activity as a club. And the 2 new clubs and fund SEC numbers are $396.53 for Middle School Dungeons and Dragons Club and Middle School Power of the Pen Club for $396.54. And that 300 fund represents a student activity account, district managed student activity. The next item, student activity program budget, purpose, and goals for fiscal year '24. This is for those same 2 clubs. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the following student activity program budget, purpose, and goals for fiscal year '24 be approved. Dungeons and Dragons Club of $250 and Power of the Pen of $600. And again, those will be funded by donations and fundraisers that those clubs may have. Item 4. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the revised purpose and goals for the National Honor Society Student Activity Program, $299.85 be approved. This changes just for their budgets and goals, not their actual budget. They were changing the fee structure for the program, and as you'll see, this fund is a 200 fund, and the difference between the previous 300 funds are the 300 funds are district managed student activity, and the 200s are student managed student activity. Number 5, grant approvals. We do have several grants for this month. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the following grants be approved for fiscal year '24. For Chapman and Strongsville Education Foundation grant for WeVideo for $750. For the middle school, the Department of Agriculture Step Outside grant for the PE class for $500. That one is an annual grant that Jeff Martinelli applies for to replenish the archery equipment that they use during PE class. Prior to this sports time, except for Rich, way back when I first started, Jeff applied for a larger grant that was able to buy the equipment that is there now for archery. This is just replacing the arrows that with the wear and tear that go along with it. Middle school via the technology department. This is one that Dave Binkley applied for. It's for Battelle STEM Classroom Grant for $5,000. And this is used to purchase 20 drones to be used as part of Makerspace class at the middle school. And then the last 2 are related to the solar eclipse day. This was donations from the Strongsville Education Foundation and the PTA Council for $750 to contribute towards the purchase of the solar eclipse classes. Any questions so far? The next item, amended appropriation measure. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the amended appropriations for fiscal year '24 be approved. The changes to the amended appropriations are the items that we talked about, the student activity accounts, the new funds, and then the grants, adjustments for the grants that we just listed, and then also reclassifying a 300 account to a 022 account. So a few years ago, the OSHA tournament fund was an 022 account. When OSHA became cashless, the state auditor's office advised to move that from an 022 fund to a 300 fund. This year, with the passage of the biennium budget, where they must have a cash option at the gate, we'll be collecting cash on behalf of OSHA, and the state auditor's office issued an opinion to move that activity back from a 300 account to an 022 account. So it's reclassifying that change. So as you'll see on the exhibit, a reduction in the 300 account and an increase to the 022 account. That's what that's for. Item 7, and the next 3 items all require a separate vote. Item 7 is the Vitality Group Services for Wellness IQ. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the Treasurer that the Strongsville Board of Education enters into a 3-year agreement with the Vitality Group LLC for health and wellness-oriented activities per the attached agreement.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcek, second by Mrs. Kilbane.
And just to give a little context of what this is for, with the passage of our negotiated agreement with the SEA, there was a section in there for an HRA program. Wellness IQ gives us the infrastructure and the ability to accurately track the activities that we need to track for the HRA activities that were defined in the contract.
Any questions for George? Hearing none, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stochek?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilbane?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mrs. Howell?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The next item, item 8, a resolution of necessity for the issuance of school improvement bonds. Bear with me as I read this. A resolution declaring the necessity of submitting to the electors of the Strongsville City School District the question of the issuance of school improvement bonds in the aggregate principal amount of $136 million for the purpose of constructing, furnishing, equipping, renovating, rehabilitating, remodeling, adding to, and otherwise improving school district buildings and facilities, including constructing new elementary, preschool, and athletic facilities, and improving performing arts facilities, and acquiring, clearing, equipping, and otherwise improving their sites, and to levy a tax outside of the 10 mil limitation imposed by Section 2 of Article 12 of the Ohio Constitution to pay the debt charges on the bonds and any anticipatory securities, such tax being an additional tax. The maximum number of years over which the principal of the bonds may be paid is 37 years, and the bonds will be dated approximately July 1, 2024, and will bear interest at a net average rate now estimated at 5.25% per year, payable semi-annually.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcek, second by Mrs. Kilbane.
And this is the first of one resolution to move forward with the bond project that we talked about at the last meeting. This resolution will allow me to go to the county to certify the millage amount. And then at a future board meeting, we'll have on the agenda to approve the second resolution, which will officially put the millage on the ballot.
Thank you, George.
Yep, and then also this equates to, we'll have to get it certified by the auditors, or the auditor's office, the county auditor's office, about 3.29 mils for about $137 per $100,000 evaluation.
Great. All right. I'd just like to thank, again, the committee and the staff that put in over 9 months worth of work. This is exciting for us as a district. This solidifies a lot of work and dreams, and I'm excited to see where this takes our district. Any other comments or questions? All right, George, take the roll.
Ms. Stochek?
Yes.
Mrs. Kilbane?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, I got one more item, and it's also a wordy one. This is also in relation to the bonds. So it's a resolution determining that the Strongsville School District is a special needs district, a resolution determining that the Strongsville City School District is a special needs district, and authorizing the preparation and filing of materials in connection with the applications for designation of the Strongsville School District as a special needs district pursuant to Section 133.06E of the revised code, and consents pursuant to Section 133.06C of the revised code. Whereas pursuant of Section 133.06, the revised code, a school district may not submit to a vote of the electors the question of issuance of securities in the amount that will make the school district's net indebtedness after the issuance of securities exceeded an amount equal to 4% of its tax valuation unless the superintendent of public instruction acting under policies adopted by the State Board of Education and the tax commissioner acting under written policies of the commissioner consent in the submission, and whereas pursuant to section 133.06E of the revised code of a school district may become special needs district as to certain securities as provided in that section, thereby permitting the school district to issue securities in the amount in excess of 9% of its tax valuation, the otherwise application debt limitation as provided in section 133.06B of the revised code, and whereas this board currently anticipates submitting to its voters at the election to be held on March 19, 2024, the question of the issuance of bonds in the amount that would make the school district's net indebtedness after the issuance of the bonds exceeded the amount equal to 9% of its tax valuation, a precondition to which compliance with section 133.06C and E of the revised code, State Board of Education policy number SF-A-04 and SF-A-05 and Ohio Department of Taxation Division of Tax Equalization Bulletin 8.
Do I have a
repeat
motion?
that?
I'm good.
I have to say, for a hot second today, I thought that I was going to have to read those. And I broke into a sweat, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's under George. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcek, second by Mrs. Kilbane.
And to just simplify that, what this resolution does is, if to issue the $136 million in bonds, in addition to the bonds that we have outstanding, we would surpass our current debt limitation, and we would have to get special consideration from the tax commissioner, or apply for consideration with the tax commissioner.
Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, George, you can take the roll.
Ms. Stochek?
Yes.
Ms. Cobain?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
Mrs. Bissell?
Yes. Motion passes.
And if there's no further questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, George. All right, I will turn it over to Dr. Rada.
Thank you, Ms. Hausum. I don't have any specific item under my section for this month. However, we do have one item under business services. Be it resolved upon the recommendation, my recommendation, that the following gift be approved. We had an anonymous donation that was made in the amount of $659.89 for the purchase of new vinyl stickers for the Strongsville High School music trailers. So we thank that donor for their support and helping to put new decals on the back of the trailer. Moving on, ask Erin Green, our Director of Curriculum, to come up with her report for this month. Erin?
I have 3 items tonight for your consideration. Item 1 is a service agreement for St. Joseph's and John Interparochial School and PSI affiliates. This is Title Fund pass-through monies. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Ed enters into an agreement with PSI Affiliates Incorporated, PSI Associates Incorporated, in the amount of $21,141.85 for one part-time Title I instructor to service pupils attending St. Joseph and John School under Title I federal funding administered to approved non-public schools by local districts. Item 2 is another service agreement, this one for St. Albert the Great School, again with PSI affiliates. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Ed enter into an agreement with PSI affiliates and PSI associates in the amount of $7,047.28 for a part-time Title I instructor to service pupils attending St. Albert the Great under Title I federal funding administered to approved non-public schools by local districts. And thirdly, another service agreement for Incarnate Word Academy with PSI affiliates, PSI associates. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the board enter an agreement with McKeon Education Group in the amount of $4,698.19 for one part-time Title I instructor to service pupils attending Incarnate Word Academy under Title I federal funding administered to approved non-public schools by local districts. And I noticed as I read that there is that error in the subject. So it's not PSI affiliates. I believe it should be McKeon Education Group. So the action is correct.
The contract was with PSI.
Okay, then the action is incorrect. And the subject is correct. Where it says McKeon Education Group.
update the agenda.
Since that's just a consent, George, are you okay if we go on, or you want us to pause until you make that update?
Just pause for a second, so
Okay.
I fall behind.
Any questions for Erin while she's up here? Thanks, Erin.
Yep.
Okay, that change has been reflected.
Thanks, George. There's no items under student services for this month. So next up, we have Assistant Superintendent Jenny Pelko with the Human Resource Report.
Thank you. Under my report this evening, I have the following items for your consideration. Under number 1, resignation for a non-certificated staff member. Under 2, resignations for certificated district substitutes. Under 3, a resignation for non-certificated athletic supplemental contract. Under 4, appointments for certificated staff. Under 5, appointment for a leadership staff member. Under 6, appointments for non-certificated staff. Under 7, appointments for certificated substitutes. 8, we have an appointment for a certificated district substitute. Under 9, appointments for non-certificated substitutes. Under 10, I have certificated supplemental contracts. And George, I hate to make you make a change, but I just noticed this one too. For Sarah Atakan, it is not for a leave of absence. That is an additional 6 class for her due to additional students, English learners, to our district since August at the middle school.
So what should it be for additional?
We typically just put new section.
Yeah.
Sarah Atkin?
Yeah.
Sarah Atakan, so delete for leave of absence and add new section.
Okay, change has been made.
Thank you. Under 11, appointments for certificated athletic supplemental contracts. Under 12, appointments for non-certificated athletic supplemental contracts. Under 13, changes in hours for non-certificated staff. Under 14, changes in status for non-certificated staff. Under 15, contract recommendations for certificated continuing contracts. 16, contract recommendations for non-certificated staff. 17, a stipend for auditorium stage crew. Under 18, stipends for our resident educator mentors. 19, a stipend for our resident educator year 2 facilitator. 20, leaves of absences for certificated staff. Under 21, leave of absence for non-certificated staff. 22, unpaid leave for 1 non-certificated staff. 23, we have volunteers. 24, volunteer coaches. And under 25, we do have a correction from the agenda from September 14th. We need to correct Renee Robley from Masters 3013 to Masters 5013. And finally, under 26, we have another correction to the agenda on September 26th. The stipend for our coordinator of gifted education should read as prorated and revised to read stipend to be paid in equal bi-monthly installments for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year. And that concludes my report.
Any question for Jenny? We don't have any items under technology, so with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have a report on Polaris Career Center. Michelle?
Thank you. An exciting month. You can see by my number of papers that I've brought to share with you tonight. I'm going to start with highlighting. We had our monthly meeting on October 10th, and it was a really special occasion. This dinner event happens once every 2 years, so it's the Fall Advisory Dinner and Meeting. So it's a ballroom-type room filled up with community members who share their knowledge and expertise in their fields and help plan and guide Polaris. And as part of that, we had a a dinner prepared by the culinary students and desserts prepared by the bakery and pastry arts students, so that was very enjoyable. And I think my favorite part was hearing, they had about 10 or 12 students come up on stage and share about their summer internships or jobs that they had in their intended career fields. And the excitement about that, being employed and working out in the field, was palpable in the room. So I'm just so excited about what Polaris offers to our students. And in that vein, a couple of upcoming things to be aware of. Polaris came to our high school about 2 weeks ago and did presentations to the sophomore students to make them aware of what Polaris has to offer. And then registration night, so you can go to Polaris and see the programs, the labs, the instructors, and so on, is coming soon, November 14th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So you can put that on your calendar. If you have younger students, I'm very excited about this. I signed 2 of my sons up yesterday. They're doing something brand new this year. It's called Polaris Explorer Club. So if you are the parent of a 4th through 6th grade student, your child is eligible for this new program. It's going to be in 2 sessions this winter, December 5th and 6th, and then December 12th and 13th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And there, if you go on the website, polaris.edu, they have created a brand new tab there you can click on and see all the offerings. There's using 3D printers, there's some glamour, something or other, cooking, baking, aviation. You can use the simulators that Polaris has, which are super cool. So check it out if you have a 4th through 6th grader. It is, you get the 4 classes for a $60 fee. So that's upcoming, and then we're looking into the spring, again, doing something brand new. They're going to be doing a career expo, job fair, career night event at the Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds. So brand new way of getting the word out about what Polaris is and what a community can offer in addition to what Polaris can offer. So May 15th, 16th, all kinds of opportunities with more details to come. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Some exciting stuff. Report on legislation. Rich.
Thank you, Laura. Just a quick update. Last week, the magistrate who was hearing the case brought by some board members in Toledo to halt the changes in moving the State Board of Education into a department of the governor, Department of Education and Workforce. They sought a preliminary injunction, and the magistrate ruled against it so that the state of Ohio can continue its process of developing and staffing the Department of Education and Workforce, DEW. But the magistrate also said that the lawsuit can continue. So I guess it's to be determined what will happen. But as far as the preliminary injunction is concerned, that the magistrate did say doesn't hold enough weight, and there's enough transparency and there's enough safeguards in effect for the lawsuit to continue and for the governor to continue to do the work he wants to do. And so both sides said it was a good thing, and we shall see.
Thank you. Board liaison reports. City Council.
City Council did meet a week ago Monday, and I think the most important announcement I can share is that on November 19th, the lighting ceremony, that's a Sunday before Thanksgiving, the lighting ceremony on the Commons in the center of town will be held, and there is a special guest who is on schedule, and he has been informed that there is a bunch of work being done behind the Commons for the walkability initiative and all of the different amenities that they're doing for that. And our special guest is very well informed that his route will have to be changed, and I guess he has new sled wheels so that he won't get stuck in any of the construction that's being done in that area. But the important part is it's November 19th, which is Sunday. It is the lighting ceremony, and the fireworks and all of that good stuff starts at dusk.
Thank you. Next, Strongsville Education Foundation. Sharon?
The one big thing that they are doing is on November 11th is casino night, 7 to 11 at the Strongsville Rec Center. Tickets are $50. It's going to be a night of gambling, food, and drinks. And these guys do a great job and have worked really, really hard. So go to their page, get a ticket. It sounds like a lot of fun. They're going to have a poker table, crap table, roulette table, blackjack, and just a nice time to be with your community. So look them up and come on out, support them. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Strongsville PTA Council. Michelle?
I went to this one, right? Is this the one?
Yeah, I mean, I can do it. It's
Go
just, their big thing this month is on November 17th. The council will be trying something brand new. 7th and 8th graders, it's called NEO Sports. They'll be hosting it in Brunswick from 6:30 to 9. It's December 1st. You can get tickets. Only 300 tickets are available, and they're $20 a piece. And this sounds really cool. I've never seen it, but they have Extreme Ninja Warrior, Bubble Soccer, Jelly Ball, Inflatables, something, and Extreme Cornhole.
Gaga.
Something Gaga. I don't know what that is.
Probably, yeah.
But anyway,
It's a popular
it
one.
sounds great. They're trying to get something age appropriate for the 7th and 8th graders. So if anyone is interested, please go to their PTA page and you can get tickets. But remember, there's only 300 available, so get your tickets. Other than that, that concludes them.
Thank you. Move on to board committee reports. Finance Committee. Michelle or Sharon?
We have not had a meeting since the last time we met here, but we are working to finalize a date. Should be the end of November, early December. So that will be posted when the date is decided on.
Thank you. Policy Committee.
We have our next meeting this upcoming Tuesday, October 31st, Halloween, from 1 to 2:30 p.m., and I expect that Cameron will be in costume.
Yes, he will.
We're also moving.
He's in costume now.
Yeah, that is his costume.
Next, the Facilities Committee. Rich.
The Facilities Committee met last week on Thursday, and at that meeting, they reviewed, now that the master plan by the Elementary Facilities Committee is complete, they reviewed that. And one of the things they did do was we realized that the Allen property, we're comfortable continuing the process to discuss with the lacrosse, Strongsville Lacrosse Association. And so we're going to continue that, and we're going to pick that ball back up and make sure that they're still interested, and if they are, continue with that. And our next meeting is to be announced.
November 14th.
It's announced right now on November 14th.
Sorry. Thank you. Business Advisory Council Committee.
Our next meeting is going to be Friday, November 17th, from 7:30 to 9 a.m. here.
Thank you. Brings us to the consent calendar. Action by the Board of Education in adoption of consent calendar at this point of the agenda means that all items appearing in this agenda denoted as type-action consent, which items constitute the consent calendar, are adopted by one single motion, unless a member of the board or the superintendent requests that such items be removed from the consent calendar and voted upon separately. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcik, second by Mrs. Kilbane. Does anyone need anything removed? Should have asked that before. Hearing none. George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stavcek?
Yes.
Ms. Cobain?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Motion carries. That brings us to the superintendent's timely information.
Thank you, Ms. Hausum. So it's always an exciting time to highlight some of the great work that's happening around our district. And so George will click on the slides there. So we want to start at the elementary level, the pre-K to 5 level. And so we want to highlight Mr. Walker's 5th grade students at Whitney Elementary School. They're learning in science class about how animals get their energy from other animals, predator-prey relationships, and the pattern of food cycles. So that's great to talk about, but who doesn't like dissecting an owl pellet? Just well, there are some people, but it looks like those kids in the picture are highly engaged in, purchasing owl pellets, going through that to see exactly what that owl may have eaten in the recent past, and to learn science in a real and interactive way, and a great way to take those skills we're working on, Model Mustang, of being innovative, of participating in this hands-on lab experience. And it's maybe hard to see from your seats, but what they're doing on some of those sheets there is taking the components, kind of categorizing them, and looking to see possibly, Sharon, I could tell you want to visit next time they do owl pellets. That's right. So digging into that. So appreciate Mr. Walker and the rest of our science team for bringing those great hands-on experiences to our students. You may have seen this, we posted as we go to the middle school, posted this on social media a little bit ago, but every Thursday at the 6th grade, our captains team at the middle school, they turn it into a student spotlight. So they have this cool activity where a student sits down on a bench in front of a whiteboard as their classmates go around without them knowing and sharing just great characteristics, traits about the students. And then once everybody's done, the student gets to turn around and see what all of their classmates have written by them. And again, obviously, the students love not only reading the positive notes and feeling empowered by their classmates' support, but I think if we could all relate that when you get to share those notes as the person writing them, you feel just as good of letting somebody else know you care and what they mean to you. So awesome to see the captain's team leading the way with some positive messages to one another in that 6th grade group. And then finally at the high school, Mr. Wingler has a leadership group. It's about 100 juniors and seniors that are part and working to connect with our 8th graders on a monthly mentorship program. So we've already had 9 students go down to the middle school, visit an 8th grade assembly to introduce themselves and share about the mentoring program. And information has been sent out to parents of 8th graders to say, hey, if you're interested in building that connection between some of our upperclassmen and our 8th graders, to build that great connection, that they're willing to do that. So congratulations to Mr. Wingler for developing this leadership program, as well as our students for taking on that service mindset to help others and bridge that gap and ensure a successful transition for our 8th graders. So, and then finally, just some upcoming dates. We've got this Saturday, we've got a show choir invitational featuring our very own Mustang Express at the high school auditorium starting at 7 p.m. The following Wednesday at 6:30, we've got the marching band postseason concert at the main gym. And just a reminder that Tuesday, November 7th is Election Day, and because of those elections, the school district is closed for students. We have a staff professional development day on that day, and as I put in my parent update this past week, due to the minimum hours and the limited minimum hours we have for preschool and half-day kindergarten, there is some asynchronous work that has to be done, but for all other students, full-day K on up to 12, it is simply a nice day off. So we'll see everybody back on Wednesday the 8th. And with that, that concludes my report.
Cameron, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is a show choir invitational similar to an athletic invitational, and that other schools are bringing their show choirs and you can see a nice long free performance?
Absolutely, yeah. So that's exactly it. So I don't know how many high schools are coming, but yeah, typically, just as any invitational, usually there's 5 or 6 different choirs that come from areas. Our choir travels around to different schools. So yeah, if you want to see our kids as well as other show choirs around the area, that's the place to go.
Very good, thank you.
Next, we have Board of Education Other. Do we have any others?
I just want to offer a thank you and a congratulations to Mr. Jenkins at the high school and his whole group of students that participated, from camera people to stage managers to the actors and actresses. I had a chance to go with my son last Friday night, and we really enjoyed it and had a lot of good conversation about it. So we appreciate that gift that they're giving to our community. Thank you.
All right, next up is meeting notification. A regular Board of Education meeting work session will be held Thursday, November 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. here in this room at the Admin Building, 18199 Cook Avenue. And then after that, we have a regular Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. here in the meeting room of the Admin Building, 18199 Cook Avenue, Strongsville. Next, we have executive session. We do have need to enter into executive session to discuss.
To consider the employment and discipline of a public employee.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stavcik, second by Mrs. Kilbane. George, can you take the roll?
Ms. Stochek?
Yes.
Ms. Cobain?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mrs. Hausum?
Yes.
And Mrs. Bissell?
Yes.
Okay. We will enter into executive session at approximately 8:20. We don't see any further need for public to reconvene in public, so I want to wish everybody a great night.